This is the One Up Radio Network, and now GFW Radio.
Hello, and welcome to the GFW Ryan podcast. The rest of the GFW staff is out seeing a new Battlefield-related game today, and I don't play those damn shooters, so I figured I'd just fly solo and give you some of the Ryan. On today's agenda, I've got my latest EVE Online hijinks. We're going to talk about this week's issue of DC's Comics 52. Going to tell you how to recreate the characters from the TV show Heroes in City of Heroes. We have a special furry corner, and then we'll go over last week's episode of Lost and some special Lost scoops. Actually, let's start off with Lost. No, okay, I'm done.
This is GFW Radio. This is the theme to the music of GFW Radio. Hi. I don't know if I like this better than Hello and Welcome. I don't know. This is our theme song now, though, I guess. The fans have spoken. You get me singing every week. Hi. We're here now. This is our podcast. We're here.
And for all those
GFW,
people,
not just Ryan.
For all
We're
those people
here.
on the forums who want to see me talk more, you don't really want that.
Actually, I would listen to that show, Ryan.
I'd totally listen to that.
Are you kidding?
I thought that was a good lineup. It's probably better than our own lineup that we have here. The Ryan show was pretty hot.
I wanted to create the Heroes cast in here in
Me too.
City of Heroes.
Me too.
You would listen to a radio show about how to create the Heroes cast in City of Heroes.
Sure, I would.
That'd be as awesome as like the Sudoku podcast. 3, 2, blank.
So now go down
Okay,
to
we're
the
going to go
fourth
on the
slider
second row now.
and go to the second option.
Yeah, save that for when you are flying solo. It's good to know now, though, that we could all be gone. You could handle this solo task.
Let's just get on with the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the week of Dead Sciences. Okay, so we're here. It's April 3rd, 2007. And how is everybody?
Super.
Pretty super.
It's Saturday morning. I'm drunk off the activator. I never, ever follow her. Like I'm a tool leader.
Red Dog,
I
check
didn't know
it
if
in.
Sean was going to talk this week. That's when he chimed in.
Only
with.
as Ray Dog.
Only as Ray Dog.
In
Should we introduce ourselves? Let's introduce ourselves.
Nah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Who are you?
I'm Jeff Green.
I'm Ryan Scott.
I'm Darren Gladstone.
Sean Elliott. That's with 2 T's. Get it right or keep my name out your mouth, son.
Goddamn right.
How many misspellings you get on
Amen.
that one?
And Sean Malloy.
That's SEAN.
Right.
Malloy.
And he's
Yeah, and I'm
SHAWN.
Are people spelling your name wrong on the board?
My dad was hooked on phonics, and Sean's was Irish or something.
That sounds about right.
We used to have a third Sean on the staff. There were
We
3
did.
Seans at one point.
He now works for PC Gamer.
He does work for PC Gamer. Yep.
It's good to see him back in the biz, but damn it.
Now the assistant art director over there, or associate art director. I don't know what they call their titles over there. But congrats to Mr. Dow's kid.
Yeah.
He's a fine lad.
He's a very good
It is good to see him back in the game biz. I don't know where he was. He had some other kind of civilian job. It was a gross mistake, and he's corrected it. Okay, so do we have stuff to talk about this week, or is that it? We'll see you next week.
Yeah, we're done.
Thank you.
We're
Have a good
waiting
week,
for
people.
you to tell him.
Oh, I have to run this thing? God damn it. Okay. Well, we have all sorts of big news. We're going to talk a little bit about an announcement that was made in Vanguard, for those who care about that. We've got an interesting topic on game industry salaries. They got posted, I think,
was,
Monday, huh?
Well, it's the Game Developers Magazine, the annual report they do.
Uh-huh. So we have some interesting figures about that and why you should be in the game industry if you're not. Once you see these numbers, you will definitely want to be in it. I will talk like this the rest of the podcast. Some good news about Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica game. Free online. So you can, play as... No, I don't even... It's not like... It's more like a Sam, right? It's not a... I don't get to play as number 6, say, right?
No, it's strictly space
Or play-
combat.
Yeah, okay. Damn it.
Sorry.
And
don't
we got
care
some
anymore.
other hot topics this week. I think Sean's going to regale us with an arcade story at some point.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. That's rumor has it.
That's the word on the street, you know.
But first, is anybody playing anything? I will start off. I'm just going to talk. Hey, Jeff, what do you think? What are you playing? Glad you asked. I'll tell you what I'm playing. The rest of you guys shut up. I tried to play Stalker, and I couldn't.
Why not?
I have got a 2.5 gigahertz machine, 1 gig of RAM, an 8800 video card, and that was not good enough for Stalker.
Did you mess
man.
with the dynamic lighting?
I messed with all that, and it still ran like butt.
That's post-patch?
Yes. Pre and post patch.
Oh, and actually, I don't know if you heard about this, but so like the patch came out and actually negated game saves.
Yeah, but since I couldn't play it in the first place, I had nothing to save.
Doesn't affect you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
was
it
just very stuttery. I couldn't do it.
It affected me deeply after I spent 10 hours playing and my game save was destroyed.
Ugh. Really? So did you start over? And
I'm holding off for now.
yeah, are they fixing that? Have they patched the patch? Do we know yet?
Haven't heard anything yet. I actually been waiting. I've been trying to get a hold of my contact over at THQ to find out what the deal is there. But
Well, I don't have CNC yet, and I'm still trying to finish Infernal, but I was hoping to get some Stalker in, and it would not happen because I don't have a good enough machine anymore.
Something's not right. I think you need to mess with the settings a bit. So, because I just was talking to someone that got it running well on a 7800.
Really?
Yeah.
But maybe their processor's better than mine, or they have more RAM than me.
No, I know.
I only have a gig of RAM.
Do you have the suck mode box checked?
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, see? Got to check
you have
that.
to uncheck the suck mode.
Yeah, I was going through all that. I restarted my machine 5 times, and I was definitely having one of those moments of, yeah, this is why PC gaming's so great.
Yeah.
When I reviewed the last Splinter Cell, I had to buy another stick of RAM for my home PC because I didn't have enough to run it.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, the machine you're playing on at home is pretty budget, right? Well,
Yeah,
not
that's
budget, but
that's
like,
with the lighting turned down at home, but on the on a Radeon 9800 card, it runs fine, really decent frame rates. And
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Anybody else playing anything else now that I'm done with me?
So selfish.
Let's see. I was apparently I really hate myself. I was playing Tortuga 2 Treasures.
Tortuga 2 Treasures. Yeah.
TTT.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, imagine pirates ripped off, and then they just kind of basically someone watched the Pirates of the Caribbean marathon or something, and then like they so literally just hijacked the plot and the characters. I mean,
Wait, do you mean the gameplay of Pirates, Sid Meier's Pirates? Is that what you mean?
They try to lift some of the gameplay of Sid Meier's Pirates and the plot of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
So it's such a blatant ripoff.
But does it have that? It's the same gameplay as Pirates, kind of.
Kind of
like exploration and.
It's not so much about the exploration. At least what I've played so far is all about like it just leads you down this one path, and you just here's one mini game, here's a cutscene, here's another mini game.
You could just play Sid Meier's Pirates instead.
That's exactly what I thought.
Because that game, even the remake, was classic.
Well,
that game was gold.
I love that game.
It did not get as much hype, I think, as it should have.
I mean, I remember going. Like,
I agree with you.
After about 2 hours of playing Tortuga, I went back to playing Pirates because I missed it. It made me realize how much I missed a good pirate game.
Mm-hmm.
I still got that one on my laptop.
Do you?
Yep.
I'm gonna dig that one up because that was a great game.
The only thing I couldn't quite get behind was the courtly dancing part, but other than that,
I like the courtly dancing
fine.
in Pirates.
I was amused. I didn't like the sneaking through town parts after.
Oh yeah,
that was
doesn't
goofy.
Doesn't one.
See, actually, that's something that they do try in Tortuga. The one thing they try to do that's kind of interesting, but they make it like so like lopsided. When you do that sneaking around town thing, it's actually like a click fest. You're like having combat against the port guards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But God forbid one actually sees you, they just gang up on you. So like you're fighting off 9 guys at once, and you're dead inside of a minute.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Not really.
Did you find one of the 2 treasures or none of them? Or
I said, you know what? You keep the treasure. Go on. I'll be fine.
see. Anything, Sean, there?
Sean Elliott?
I'll sound like a broken record, and then I'm playing IL 2. No, but at first I will. And I'm playing IL 2 Sturmovik 1946, which came out recently. And I have to say the whole name because I've noticed quite a few people asking, what's that flight sim he's talking about? But I won't sound like a broken record, and then I'm passing through phases of appreciation for the game. And I think I've gone through the whole, I did the whole, okay, let's make fun of the rivet counting stuff and make fun of just like how many knobs and dials there are, and then moved into the phase of, okay, well, for example, this weekend I went to Best Buy looking for rudder pedals.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
basically now you're in the acceptance phase.
I'm in the acceptance phase, and just like, and in addition, I'm still trying to track down a Track IR, which is basically the latest version is you put a hat on, and there's the sensor you put on top of your monitor, and it will gauge where your head's looking. But the thing that's so rad
You're
about
going to be a hero of the web. Pretty soon.
And you know what? Fuck it, because it's a good feeling. No, the whole thing with the head tracking stuff, and this is, I think if you can appreciate this if you don't even play this type of game, is that since you're moving the equivalent of your own head independently of the cockpit, and that's not something. I mean, people that play Battlefield get it to an extent where you hold down control and you're able to mouse, look to the left of your, out your window of your helicopter or whatever, see where your door gunner and the Black Hawk's aiming at. But I mean, when you're in in a big, in a tight turn or something, and you look up through the top of the plane, which is the equivalent of looking sideways, and you're one of your physical senses is aware of the momentum that your plane's traveling with, where that's going. But you're also, you do feel like, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint it, but the level of immersion is definitely something I haven't had in a long time. You know that feeling like when you go and you play a really good, not a ride simulator, but like a really good arcade game that has some sort of gimmick implemented into it. But you're like, this is actually cool. I mean, it's kind of nerdy, and I paid 75 cents for this, but it's working in a way where, as long as I quit being such like a hard to please, a jaded old gamer, and just kind of come at this like in the way that maybe your brother or whatever would, and it's just a cool feeling.
Well, that also works with racing games too.
Yeah, it work with all sorts of games,
right.
and so
how far do you have to move your head to like make it?
A very small amount, and I've watched videos of it in use, like dogfighting videos of people winning using it. Of course, they're promotional. I'm sure they were put on YouTube by the company.
Right.
But you could tell, though, it's really smooth and fluid. And so if I wanted to look all the way straight up, I'd probably just move a little bit.
Okay. So you're not like looking way up and then your eyes are rolling.
Yeah, then you can't even keep your eyes on the screen. But whether or not you use that, what I do with my controllers, I map that. I have like the equivalent of a mouse nub from a laptop, on my throttle, and I'm able to do it with that. And that works fine. But
don't you think if I was sitting across from you here wearing and I told you that I was
anyone that's going to come in
playing World of Warcraft and I had a headset on so that like when I cast my spells,
it's just pure laughing.
You'd be totally making fun of me.
But here's the thing, like the guy, there's a certain amount about like, okay, special pleading, whatever, but these things I'm about to tell you are true. Okay, the guy who made this, Oleg Maddox, I was on the One Up show last night. Everyone's tell us about old Philip the Peanut Farmer, who made this game, But I'm like, dude, this guy he was part of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan back in the day. That's not pussy stuff.
I hope he's not bragging about it.
He's not. He's definitely
that wasn't
not.
Too cool when they did that.
No, he's definitely not bragging about it. And he
invading
wouldn't even,
another country. Like
he wouldn't
that.
even talk about it. The reason I know that is because someone on his team, who I won't name, posts on a forum. And they talk about just generally the philosophy of the game, whether or not they should actually depict violence. I mean, depict gore. And if in the latest versions, when you are hit in your cockpit, there's no blood. Your screen starts to go red. But that was a big thing. Is that Oleg wants no visual like depictions of gore or anything in this thing, and he doesn't even want to talk about that stuff. That's why no one knows this. I mean, and I hope they're not upset with me for saying this because I did find this in a forum. But no, so he definitely doesn't go around. I mean, in the same way, that like that you'd imagine, you don't go bragging about those, that experience, but it shaped him. I'm sure of that. Clearly, well, for the fact that in the negative sense that you don't have that kind of stuff in the game. But anyway, it's one of those notches on your belt that says, at least of all things, you're not the peanut farmer or whatever. So. Back to the game. Some of the cool stuff that we've been doing now is like I played this with Matt Peckham, who's reviewing it for us this issue. My friend Rory, we're playing online, and EGM's Crispin Boyer is going to be joining us too in our little clique of nerds.
Wow, is he going to be riding like in a Mario plane or something so he feels comfortable there?
No. But
why am I dissing him?
Mario plane.
Why would he be in the Mario plane? Yeah.
Console boy.
That's all they play over there at EGM is Mario.
Maybe he can ride around in a giant mushroom.
But it's like some of the cool, like a cool mission that we've been doing, which just ties into something else I want to say about the game. And this is, I'll say that first. This is that when you hear about this kind of game, you're like, okay, there's no way this is accessible. This is for a certain type of person. You're already like, there's a category, whatever you're calling me, a person that plays this kind of game. But I think the press has done a poor job in that we do talk, like when I first came on and talked about it, we do talk about the sense of this insiders club of you have to be able to do this and this in order to be part of this club. But they're easy modes. You can turn all this stuff off. If you want to make it so that there are no clouds, your bullets don't drop, you can't stall, there's no wind, you don't even have to take off. These are all independent switches. You can click every single one of them. You can make it so you don't feel G-force. You can't pass out. You can't bleed. Every single thing. And when you do that, the game becomes increasingly more arcadey, but it also means that you can go in and as you acclimate yourself to what's happening, create a lesson for yourself one at a time by adding more and more, by clicking more and more of these things and saying, okay, now let's introduce this into the sim environment. Until ultimately you end up at the point where that you hear about. But the thing about this that makes it different from other, flight sims and combat flight sims is that, like, Oleg thinks that flying itself is really easy. It's not a difficult thing, and he actually argues that other sim creators go wrong in that just trying to say, I mean, wearing that complexity or that like intricacy as like a badge of belonging or something. And he says that, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, yes, planes have all these gauges and dials and stuff, but the pilot's only looking at one of them in a given time. I mean,
just
in the same
probably
way,
the fuel's what they're
right.
looking at.
If you go into a Lexus, you see a million lit up gauges and stuff.
Yeah.
But you've driven a car, you just like, hey, maybe you need to look down there once in a while. But it's the combat itself that gets intricate, but it's also really rewarding. So here's the thing that I was taking it back to, the actual experience that we did have is like we're basically just playing these missions where it's just us in these experimental German jets, and they have high caliber cannons attached, but also these wire guided rockets. Now I'm going to try to make it sound hot. And we're taking out like, big squadron of B-29s, but it's just cool. I mean, you shoot your missile and then you use your separate controller to like kind of steer the missile into them. And I mean, unlike, another game, like you're hitting these and parts are falling off, you could specifically see engines come off or a wing comes off and the whole thing just tips over, or you'll see, they'll start feathering the props and try to get turn the rest of the engines on that side off and get the other ones, up. And it's just cool. It's fun. I still like it, and I found a new love.
No, it's interesting to listen to you go through this. I mean, it's probably not that usual these days, I would think, to watch someone, actually get into this particular genre now and experience the, newbie through wanting to add features into an actual experienced guy. I mean, you're getting into this right at the point where there's practically no games in the genre anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are still quite a few, but it's just not. Yeah, like you're saying. I mean, you've been working in the industry for long enough to know that it used to be your cover story every month. Like
we talked about that last week. In the old days, it was. I mean, to me, the barrier to entry is still the joystick,
right? And it is hard because they don't have those. Well, they did. I was happy to see that they had the Cytec X5 II at Best Buy, and the non-pro model is like around $100 or something. That still is prohibitive, but for it to be an impulse buy, they really do need to have like some cheap sticks that are available. So you just wander in someplace and you're like, okay, cool.
But back in the day, it was
they used to be everywhere.
They used to be everywhere. I mean, it was really not unusual back in the day for us all to have them on our desks. Even if we weren't hardcore quote unquote flight sim guys,
right? You just had
them because it was just part of your PC gaming setup.
And I got
mine for Wing Commander.
I got the stick I have is a legacy from that. Because I remember when I was at EGM, I would always see them floating around. Whenever someone would get laid off or move or something, there's a pile of crap that they didn't want to take with them. It would always have like a brand new expensive flight stick in it.
Yep.
And this is kind of like the legacy where I finally got around to it. But I do think, one, it's kind of like you get older, you go from a gamer and you go from playing I don't know. I mean, just you go from playing. I mean, Call of Duty, I love. I don't know. It's hard to think of a thing, but you just branch out and you want different sorts of games. You start playing stuff like Europa Universalis and IL-2, and that seems kind of natural to me. It seems cool, but I do want to proselytize for it just because I think a lot more people than would enjoy it than probably realize they would.
I am kind of curious because you've been a aviation buff for a long time. I know you got on the especially World War II planes, right? Mm-hmm. Did you try other stuff in the past, like secret weapons of the Luftwaffe or?
I didn't. I mean, all the console stuff. So I would play anytime there would be like some
Crimson Skies, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Crimson Skies, and then the really poor games and all that. Namco stuff, which I really don't like. I mean, it's like right now, Ace Combat 6 screens are going around, and they look great, but it's the same thing. It's the same story as every time. I mean, it's just night and day. I mean, I honestly now think you can't have any kind of good flight game that doesn't give you independent, like, look movement within your cockpit. Granted, it's different with jets because you have other means of tracking targets in the air. But I mean, it's a huge part of it. I mean, just being able to keep your eye on who you're chasing and everything. And instead of the console ones feel so. And Crimson Skies is a whole other story.
Mm-hmm.
And what it did right in its own way, it captured the verticality of air combat, which was cool because you could put in a quick move, push one analog stick down, the other up, and then suddenly you're going straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Reverse it, and you're going straight down.
Well, that did start as a PC game.
Yeah.
Right.
FASA, I mean.
But the other ones, though, you feel as if you're just going in a circle on a flat plane to me, like on a disc or something,
Mm-hmm.
And it just is so... I mean, it just misses the whole feeling of going upside down and looking up and seeing basically just like the ground beneath you, and clouds passing by, and maybe another jet zips down beneath you, and then you just kind of flip down out of that inverted...
that's the point at which I quit every single flight sim I ever try.
Yeah.
Once I see the sky below me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, ah! And then I crash, and then I load something easy. It's not like a Doom or something.
Yeah.
Like Choplifter.
So I guess we're going to have to make a thread for it on our forums. I got people PMing me like, hey, I hear about this, and can I get in your clique? But we'll ultimately get together some big posses, and we'll go hunt the B-29s, like a big...
How big can those squadrons get? Like 100 players or something?
No, it's not quite as big as that. 32, I think, is the max in the server, but that's quite a few planes.
Well, and if you want to hunt Murlocs, just see me and Sean Malloy.
That's right.
Yep. But you got a
And
podcast
Murloc.
devoted to that.
Yeah, there's a whole
We
podcast
do.
about that.
Maybe if you get enough support, there could be a flight sim podcast.
Oh, God.
Aces High, the podcast.
Actually, there probably is more than one flight sim podcast out there.
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
And they will be suing
I would
us.
bet.
Mine would be like the retarded version of it. So
this
next
is
week,
the retarded version
next
of
week
the
we'll all
PC
be
gaming.
talking about CNC. I hope.
I hope
so.
if our
Yeah,
copies come
we
in.
should be getting copies, right?
I'm psyched for
so.
CNC3.
It's supposed to be good.
They-
I wanna
Oh,
watch
and
those
also, what's it
movies.
called? Just came out. I'm gonna go home and play it tonight. Found out about it last night. It was too late. But Desert Conflict, which is new mod from. It's not necessarily the same crew that made Desert Combat because they became Chaos Studios and are making Frontlines. But it was Darren. You said that they're handpicked.
Yeah, basically what happened was they kind of passed the baton on to like the next gen of devs, up and coming devs that wanted to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
So they just they have the blessings of the Chaos Studios guys.
So this
Children
is
of
now
Chaos.
a major Battlefield 2 based mod that, among other things, I mean, it's not necessarily a total realism mod, but it adds all kinds of weird stuff from not weird stuff, but it adds things from Scud missiles and other types of armored fighting vehicles to take. I think all missiles are back to just being dumbfire, which was a huge point because I mean the lock-on missiles took a lot out of the air combat in Battlefield 2. And a number of other things, new maps, a bunch of classic maps that from Desert Combat that they've updated.
Nice.
So
That was the mod I played the most.
I'm going to look forward to that.
Great mod.
I'm surprised because
seems a little meta,
if you
too.
had a hard time with Battlefield, that's you'd get just trashed in that game.
I believe it or not, I was actually
So
good
easy
at
to
Battlefield
die.
1942.
Yeah.
It was just 2 I just didn't play enough to get the hang of it.
Huh. So hopefully I'll report back on that.
So maybe
next week.
now is actually a good transition for the Battlestar Galactica because that actually is a conversion of a sim, of Space Sim. It's a total conversion of Free Space 2. Is that right?
That's exactly what it is.
A classic Space Sim from Interplay, one of their last final great games.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't get into the flight sims nearly as much as some, but like space sims were was that for me, like Privateer, Wing Commander.
Yeah, I played all those.
That was totally my thing.
X-Wing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, all the X-Wing TIE Fighter stuff.
Mhm.
But anyway, so the Battlestar Galactica game, it's actually called Beyond the Red Line, and you can find it at www.game-warden.com/bsg. And it's basically it's a totally free game since Free Space 2 is now open source, so that's available for free as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that is a bargain.
and that seriously,
Free Space 2, I would go get that if I were you.
totally. And so basically, it's a total conversion, and it's still in the demo phase, but you can download it right now and play some multiplayer and a demo of the campaign that's going to go forward.
So can you play as both human and Cylon, or what's the deal there? Do you know?
As far as I know, you can do human for now
Okay.
against Cylons, but there's probably more to it in multiplayer. like obviously like Silent versus Human in multiplayer.
You're still none of us have played this yet, right?
Well, what happened was like I was actually downloading it last night and my computer crashed, so I have to reload it.
Awesome.
So no, right?
So that'd be a big fat no.
I was just wondering like how different it is than from Free Space. Is it just new skins? You know, I mean, is it like?
Well, the thing is, Free Space was like an arcade shooter, and apparently, it wasn't like true physics and all that stuff. It's just obviously it's in space with zero gravity, but they are apparently adding some more stuff to it. I don't know much more than that right now, but it's hell, the price is right. It's my freeware pick of the week. So let me see. I'm just kind of reading off the about from the website.
Sure, go ahead.
They say so. Multiplayer features deathmatch, team deathmatch, King of the Hill, gauntlet missions, and possibly co-op. That's kind of cool. Right now, you can fly a Viper Mark II, Viper Mark 7, and the Raptor. So anyone who's watched the current show, not the 1970s one, that's the experience you're getting.
So I could be Starbuck.
You could be You could be
You
Cara
may
Thrace.
already be Starbuck.
I might be.
You can't be Scar though.
I'd like to dress like her. What?
You can't be Scar.
No. Okay. So maybe we'll actually try to check that out and report back whether it's worth it or not. But definitely the Free Space 2 is, though.
Yeah. Well,
great game.
I'll know by tonight. I'm downloading it again.
And you're right. You can't go wrong for free.
You can.
Yeah,
I
there's this
disagree with
podcast.
that.
No,
I
you
disagree
really?
with that because as someone who
crashes your
heavily
computer?
downloads mods,
Uh-huh.
no, but I mean, it depends. It depends on how much hard drive you space. But you'll get a mod, and you're like, okay, that definitely was not even worth bothering. It wasn't worth the effort of downloading it.
I suppose. I used to didn't you download like Doom maps by the dozens? I used to do that, the WADs.
Just to see.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh god, that would be bad if you were in like a slow loading map and you get a map and the first thing you get in addition to hearing like Krusty the Clown sound bites is it's just it's nothing but you look on the ground and there's like a million weapons, every kind of weapon, and a million units of ammunition for it. They do that in Half-Life 2, and they got the pulse rifle alt fire, which we call the shrimp cannon, and it's just like it's instant death and ricochets around. As soon as you get in, you're like, oh, maybe this will be good, and that. I'm thinking about how when that Half-Life 2 deathmatch first came out, and there were only like 2 maps, so you'd be eager for anything new, hoping there'd just be some capable map maker who was quick. But no, every time you load it, this goddamn shrimp cannon in a giant box.
Well, they can't all be gold.
No, there's a lot of good maps now. They just took time.
Some time.
Sometimes you need the intentionally bad map though to really appreciate how good some map makers are.
That's right. You need a baseline.
Right.
I mean, I remember one time I intentionally designed a map where there was like this big pit in the middle, and you drop in it. Like all the weapons and like, everything you want is there, but you can't get back out of the hole. So
you made that intentionally bad.
I made that intentionally
bad.
bad.
That wasn't just okay.
I have a whole fixation with bad movies and just bad designs.
Camp map design. I don't know
Exactly.
if I buy that.
Yeah.
You know what? That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
What's next? Mr. Malone,
Maybe we could
have you been playing anything besides WoW?
Not really.
Not really?
No. You could hear all about my WoW talk on a legendary thread podcast at oneup.com. But
Oh, it's a nice plug.
Very nice.
I played a little bit of
It's
Bookworm
promos.
Adventures.
Bookworm
I went
Adventures.
back to that, yeah. I didn't play a whole lot when it came out, so I finally said, okay, I enjoyed Peggle. Let me try this Bookworm a little more.
Got to think a little more with Bookworm.
Yeah.
Not quite at the Peggle level of drool coming out of your mouth while you're playing.
Peggle is not that way though. Like that's something that like I've daily rotation still.
Still?
Like dueling. Yeah, 'cause the girlfriend.
But the
loves it
more
so
you
much.
play Peggle, the more you get into the strategy of
Yeah, the
Peggle.
more you realize. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
clearly we're not talking. It's not playing pool or something. But
Right.
you do see. You get to the point. Like I guarantee, you play it for like a couple days, and instead of just saying, "Oh, this is probably good," because I can imagine it's going to just generally be in this area, and there are a lot of pegs over here.
Right.
Like you at least visualize pretty clearly past the first ricochet and into the second one.
Right. You start.
And then once you do that, once your third eye sees it coming, and it does come that way, it's pretty gratifying.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not like learning to fly or like getting spelling.
Yeah, if only you had one of those headsets for Peggle.
Or what's your
Be
big
the
word?
ball.
A Peggle
What's your
shooter.
big bookworm word?
I don't know. I found myself being annoyed by, I think I had like a really awesome word, and I started spelling it, and then nothing happened. Like it didn't register.
It didn't register.
Sometimes the dictionary sucks on that thing.
Yeah, I was very annoyed. I was like, oh yeah, pernicious. This is going to get this Charybdis.
Wow.
And then
You
like,
got to send an angry letter. to
I don't know if it
Comcast.
was pernicious, but it was some big word that I was pretty sure was spelled right. Maybe it wasn't. I was just like, hey.
You should be able to update that dictionary too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I like it. It's fun. It's fun getting the golden fleece and using it somehow in a word game.
I still play that game.
a good one.
It is. That's about it, though.
All right. Should we take a break and
Peggle
come back
needs-
with more
Peggle
news
needs
and
a-
events
Yeah.
and
More hijinks.
stories and wackiness?
Do that. I got a story I can tell anytime too.
You got it. Yeah, we'll come back with Sean's arcade story. We'll
The
be right
arcade
back.
fire.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But as long as you're here, let me tell you about EGM Live, the weekly podcast from the editors of Electronic Gaming Monthly, along with the wonderful sounds of... EGM Live comes action-packed with special guests, late-breaking news, fanboy-baiting commentary, behind-the-scenes tales of office tomfoolery, and trivia contests with fantabulous prizes. Download it now at egmlive.oneup.com or subscribe to it through iTunes.
EGM Live is part of the 1UP Radio Network, taped in the Ziff Davis offices in San Francisco. It is not actually live, and contest prizes are not guaranteed to be fantabulous.
Hi, we're back. Or maybe Ryan can do his show again. Want to do that again, Ryan?
Ryan, what are we up to? Oh, wait, you're here. You haven't said
Hello.
anything.
Bring us back in.
Bring us back in, Ryan.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, we're glad. You know, you get dissed for the not talking, but I think they're wrong. I think those people who say like they should kick Ryan off. He never says anything. They don't know what it's like to be sitting here. You know, Ryan's kind of like the Greek chorus. He sits here, he nods while we're talking. You know, sort of smiles.
Provides
if we're saying
validation.
something
It's the
funny.
internet too.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna hate on everything.
We're
no
kind of
matter
like
what we do.
podcasting
Yeah.
for Ryan here. He's sort of like our.
I had today. I was reading people saying he talks over everyone.
Who? You or
Yeah,
me?
you
Me.
need to
Well,
shut
whatever.
up, Sean.
There's a
Yeah.
certain balance to all things.
Mm-hmm.
I like our
Said
balance.
one
We're good
guy,
I think
enough.
we do a pretty good
one
job.
emo looking dude, and I say that in the most disparaging way. So,
So
compared me to what would you say, Bob Saget and Robin Williams, but without the name.
Ouch.
No, I was
What?
like, cool.
Robin Williams.
I
That
told
ain't
him-
cool at all, man.
I told him maybe we could see through this misunderstanding if he came in to visit me in my at Neverland with Martin Bashir.
Damn.
It's
Getting
don't see it.
nasty.
Yeah. No, that's not that.
Not a
That's
friend
making
of
fun of myself.
correlation.
No, it's like I don't know. You got to think about it. There's some humor in there, I think. You know, Martin Bashir was the whole thing where Jacko was like, you know what? These people are saying I'm fucked up. I'm gonna tell them I'm not, and I'm gonna bring this Martin Bashir guy over to my fun land, and he's gonna make a video that proves everyone that I really am a cool guy. So it's kind of like saying like, come over here and prove that for the purpose of proving that I'm not as bad as you say, but ultimately finding out that I'm worse than you
and
say.
he winds
Well,
up
we
making
knew
a
that.
I
triumph
was
of
just
will.
sophisticated-ish. Dude couldn't get it.
You're operating at a higher level.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know about the videographer hired by Michael Jackson.
Martin Bashir, that was epic when that came out.
Was he the dude
That
who
was
did that was that big special, that like 2-hour?
Yeah, the 2-hour
Yeah.
special, and they went to Neverland. And he was like going around through Vegas, like the Bellagio. I'll take this one and this one.
And he was like,
I had the Jolly Green Giant.
and he
in
was
my
very
hotel.
defensive towards Michael, wasn't he?
Ho,
Just
ho,
because you
ho,
like
Green
touching
Giant.
little boys does not really mean you're a molester.
No, Martin. I do this with all the children.
Because you love them, don't you, Michael?
For the special children. Only for the special children.
Could I touch them too, Michael?
Only if the special children. Well, that was the one.
Now, with this kind of dialogue, why would you need me to talk?
Exactly.
He teaches children to eat a green piece. Ho, ho, ho,
Does he?
green giant.
Is he constructing a
Wow.
giant robot in Vegas, or did I dream that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, or yeah, I dreamed
because
that.
that was one of the key events of the 21st century.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to build a giant Captain EO.
Okay, let's reel this back into
Yeah, what are we
something
talking about?
related to what our podcast is supposed
Moonwalker.
to be about.
Yeah, Moonwalker. Moonwalker was a video game.
Yeah.
We're
there you go.
retro
At an
nuts.
arcades.
And the Sega Genesis.
We're talking about video games.
Okay, tell your arcade story now, Sean, while we're at this extreme low.
Now?
Yeah,
Right,
it
okay,
can't
we're-
get any more
Ryan knows
off on a
it's a low.
tangent.
Ryan,
Oh, Jesus.
without spoiling the detail, because I did tell Ryan, I gave Ryan a teaser at lunch.
Yeah.
How did you feel about? How did it make you feel, Ryan?
Oh, this is going to be the new low.
Wow. Okay, I can't wait for this.
So this is sad. Yeah, maybe I should save. Fuck it. I don't know. Every time I say I should save it, I go into it. So I'm just gonna do it. All
Do
right.
it.
Here we go.
Let it roll.
All right. One time, me and my friend Corey, and I mentioned this guy before in the context of This is the guy I left. We had this insane rivalry at fighting games: Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Virtua Fighter. Later on, Soul Calibur. And he got on a big run at Mortal Kombat and just was talking shit on me the whole time. And so in the past, that's the guy I left at the arcade. I was just like, all right then. And I just like got in my car and left him there. Call your dad and have him come get you, dude. Your sister. So that was dick. That was like the most
what, a couple years ago?
Dick maneuvers I've ever pulled. But
last month.
So this same guy, we're on our way back to that same arcade. This is where so many all the fun stuff happened. And he came to pick me up at my dorm and we're driving, and the whole time he's just tearing ass. You know, we're just driving, and it's the kind where at first, like, I have the window rolled down and I have like my head hanging out, and then, you know, eventually how when someone's farting around you, and you knew that farts were going to be involved in this, so don't act surprised.
No,
when someone's farting around you, and all of a sudden it's like it's not funny anymore. Like you want to just punch them.
Yeah,
you know, and then so it hit that point where I stopped laughing, you know, and I was just like, you know, seriously like swearing at him and stuff. And he was just choking, you know, I mean, just like just spasmodic glee. And then all of a sudden he stops laughing. And then like about, you know, I'm trying to get the timeline down on this 'cause it's really important. About 10 seconds later, he goes, hey, I'm just going to drop you off at your parents' because they lived like in between where my dorm was and then the arcade. I remembered I got to do this or that. I can't remember what he said he had to do. And immediately I knew.
I know where this is going.
Corey, you shit your fucking pants. No, you're not dropping me off. You're going to my house. You're getting the grocery bag. You're putting your dookie drawers in them. You're throwing them in the trash. And then you're going commando to the arcade because you came all the way out here to get me. So, okay, we go to the arcade. That he did all this. I mean, it was sure enough, just as I called. We go to the arcade, and then so the rad end of the story is that as soon as I called it, he was like, "You can't tell Mike. You can't tell Mike." And Mike was another friend in our clique. And he was the town crier, even more so than I was. So
as opposed to what's happening right now.
So well, this is years later. This guy doesn't care now. Like this is
he doesn't care that he's now famous on the internet for shitting his pants on the way to the arcade.
So Mike's now an accomplished fine artist, and it's funny because he sells his stuff at like Monterey and Carmel, like
not anymore.
Towns like that, yeah. And immediately, so I told Mike, and he drew up like about a 6 to 8 panel comic book, comic story. Telling the whole, retelling everything I just told, and he watercolored it and everything. It looked really nice. And then, weeks later, in the context of all of us hanging out, Mike just passes it around to a big group of us. And it's like, yeah, here's something I was just working on lately. And then it gets to Corey. Corey looks immediately and understands what had happened. He just turns around at me and starts yelling. But it was, yeah. Okay.
Wow.
I didn't get any laughs out of that one.
No, we were all.
I think
laughing.
I did.
I think it was like
did.
That was like a subsonic laugh from me. I just
thinking, I don't think I want Corey visiting the GFW office anytime soon.
Just have a rack of Depends ready for him to show up.
Yeah, you're right. This was probably a new low for us. I didn't think it could go any lower.
That's just the life I live,
I think it can.
I could tell one CGW fart story if I may. while we're on the topic. And that was at we used to all eat lunch in the lunchroom here at the glorious Ziff Davis offices. We would all go forage for our various food, and then we'd bring it back. We'd all sit in the conference room and talk. And quite often, there was a lot of burping going on because Dave Salvatore, who now works, where does he work now? Intel, you're right. Hi, Dave. He used to burp quite a lot. He was a champion belcher. I mean, this guy would he could shake the walls with these belches. And so people would try to compete with him, but there was no competing with Dave. And so we're all sitting around burping, and at the time we had this intern who did not last for very long. We're all sitting there eating and burping, and this guy just lets go a really loud fart and starts laughing, and we're all like, dude, we're eating lunch.
But you were laughing?
And he's like, not when he did that. He laughed, but we were all mad. And he's like, well, what? You guys are burping. We're like, it's not the same thing. And what universe are you from?
It depends, though. Burps can be far worse than farts. It depends.
I don't know. Not when you're eating lunch.
That's the real topic of this episode.
Which is worse?
Which can be worse?
Does this have to go in the iTunes write-up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it has to.
That's why we got the cover on there. Say the whole thing is about Ryan talking about
keyword.
52.
Flatulence.
I think maybe you should just open us up to a poll.
Okay, I'm going to bring this back to something a little more serious.
Okay.
Because we've hit the skids here.
Yeah.
This is an article from Kotaku.com, and they were quoting Game Developer Magazine. The headline is "Developers Rollin' in Benjamins," which I believe is slang for money.
They are moneyed
I do
Is that what
believe,
you
yes.
young folk call
Indeed.
it now? Benjamins? Okay. Industry Mag.
That's so actually.
What?
I was just realizing how. I mean, I guess when a video game site uses it, you know how played out it is. But think about how long it was that, like, the moment Puffy released, all about the Benjamin's baby, like that.
Yeah.
That was
Then it
played
was
out.
over.
Back
Played
then.
out, yeah.
Uh-huh. Actually, I was thinking that when I was in Los Angeles.
That was
this
back
weekend.
when my friend
I
was
heard
shitting
a-
his pants on the way to the arcade.
Long
Really?
time
They were
ago.
saying Benjamins way back then?
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Not
I was
that
in the suburbs of L.A., and 2 times this weekend I heard middle-aged men, and when I say middle-aged, I mean even older than me. So they were probably, late 40s or 50s. I heard these, like, balding, middle-aged white guys. One guy said, "My bad," and another guy said, "I feel you." And I was like, okay, neither of these
Even
phrases
Carl
should
Rove
ever...
doing it.
I would hear some guy, "Yes, I feel you. That was a bad putt.
MC Rowe.
Oh man, that kills me.
My bad."
And then he punches it in, dog.
Okay, so...
That's dumb.
Benjamin.
So, let's see. Game Developer Magazine came up with the
Crackers.
average annual incomes for various jobs in the U.S. games industry. In 2006, here are some of the salaries that were made job by job in the gaming industry. Programmers were raking in an average of $80,886 a year. Artists, $65,107.
It's a lot of Todd McFarlane figures.
That is. Game designers, $61,538. Production personnel, $77,131. Production personnel would be what?
Producers, I
Uh,
guess.
Maybe.
I mean,
That's
they've
just
already
well,
they've
yeah,
already
it's
named
kinda
artists
vague.
and designers and programmers. I don't know what production personnel
The-
are.
I guess producers.
The producers, project
Producers,
management.
I guess.
Project management.
QA way down to 37,000.
Because who needs quality?
Right. Which there you go. That says a lot right there.
But no, it doesn't say how much they value it. But it says like how in demand the employees are. I mean, you
Well,
don't
yeah.
need much of an education for Q&A. I mean, you do need an education, so don't get me wrong. But you don't need the same education that the programmer does.
Right.
Exactly. No,
Exactly.
you don't.
Yeah, so don't take that bad, QA. Totally love you. But I'm just saying you don't. I mean, clearly, if you had the same education as the programmer, you'd
You'd be programming.
probably be programming.
Right.
You know.
Or we'd have better games. Audio employees were averaging 69,935,000, and ranked highest, business and legal, 95,596. So
Ooh.
programmers were second in the rundown. There it was business
Yeah.
and legal 95, programmers 80.
It's interesting. Designer that design is
It's
under
the lowest.
programmer.
Well, yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that first when I first heard that, but then also kind of said, well, they're the ones that require the least like official training
yeah.
on that list. Like if you
Sure.
got like a designer
Mhm.
next to a programmer, obviously the programmer's gone through a lot more schooling specifically for programming
Yep.
than a designer would have gone through
Mhm.
specifically for design. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe people are going through 10 years of design school, but I doubt it.
Mhm. That's still pretty good money for pretty much all those titles except for QA,
Yeah.
which really is kind of an entry level job as well.
Right.
Right, it's
As a
like-
game tester.
And those
Right.
are all. I'm sure. Were those averages or were those like?
Those were
Those
averages.
national averages, I think.
And as we were talking before we came on air here, the sad truth is that for a place like California, where we're podcasting from, those salaries actually aren't that high for the cost of living here.
Right.
Sadly.
Like
So-
when you read when I read the numbers on that, I didn't say, well, they're not rolling it in the Benjamins as
I know.
the headline
Is
put it.
Kotaku's can't be based in San Francisco
I
don't
don't know
think
where
they are,
Kotaku
no.
because you
is
definitely
based.
wouldn't be considering 60,000 rolling in anything.
No,
if
that's
you're
like
out here.
That's
one
gonna
bedroom
get-
apartment.
You'd be
Yeah.
you'd be rolling in pennies.
I mean, when for to put it in perspective, I mean, wherever the listeners are, I mean, like 300,000 here will get you, if you're lucky, like if you're in a real estate business, will get you like a condo, right? With one room.
You're looking at least
Yeah,
If
not
you're
necessarily.
lucky,
You're
not even a
correct.
good one. Not even a good
in a
one.
prime neighborhood.
Not even a good one.
No, a single bedroom in like a not even a good
Yeah,
area.
You're not going to get a house in the Bay Area, in anywhere close to San Francisco or Berkeley for under
1.5
half a million at this
Right.
point.
Mhm.
Like I was looking at, I've actually been looking at this kind of stuff, and like, yeah, you need at least a million for a decent house. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. So you need a geographical distribution of where these jobs are. I mean, we assume a lot of them are in these like more expensive metropolitan areas. But
Some we know are North Carolina.
right,
I mean,
exactly.
All over.
I don't know what the percentage breakdown is.
So I guess the trick is to get a job in the game industry in one of these areas where the cost of living hasn't jumped yet.
I mean, but if I was making, even the QA salary in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from, like I'd be like, yeah, I could
Right.
buy a house.
The great thing is that a lot of these
Buy a
game
mansion,
companies,
right?
especially the bigger ones, I mean, even for QA, they do a good job of taking care of their employees. We go and visit these companies, and they have really nice setups for a lot of them. I mean, that's because they expect them to work long hours. But I've been to plenty of companies where, where they'll have like in-house chefs who will make lunch for everybody all day. Every day. That kind of thing, or gyms right on the premises. I mean, basically, so they never
one
leave.
studio with a developer.
I mean, if I were to guess, if you were to take any one of these jobs and kind of find the equivalent at a non-game place, like if it's okay, I'm a programmer for, some Capcom studio, and I'm a programmer for Oracle. I bet the Oracle guy would be making a lot more. I think it's a supply and demand.
Well, hey,
thing.
we can do that, frankly, with games, quote-unquote, journalism, can't we? The average writer at or editor at a magazine is likely to make more at a non-gaming place than they are at gaming. I can speak from experience.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Especially if you consider gaming journalism a subset or offshoot of tech journalism.
And it is a supply and demand thing because working
Right.
in the games industry is just way more sexy than working at a database company.
Yeah,
I kind of think of us as sort of like one step below PE teacher. They got those who can't teach, those who can't teach PE. And I think those who can't teach PE, review games for a living. I think that's kind of where we're.
Yeah, well, to put it in perspective, I think the drivers of BART, the local Bay Area Rapid Transit System, make a little over $60K a year.
Really?
They do.
Wow. And yet my train's late every day.
Yes, just something to think about.
Yet my driver's still.
And they don't even drive it, do they? They're pressing.
No, they just press. There's one
pressing
big button
go.
that says "Go."
Go.
I've seen it.
And they still
Damn it.
can't get that right.
I don't know.
Which button? Was
It might be really hard.
You need
Maybe
to
they
play
have to
you need to play
dodge
the sim
cows
for that.
all the time. I don't even notice it.
You need to play the BART driver sim and learn some respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turn that throttle up, throttle down.
What else do we
door.
have this week?
Well, we had the
Boy.
big
Silence.
topic.
The big topic.
What was the big topic?
Big topic was the evolution of multiplayer gaming.
It wasn't
yeah,
even
that's
that,
right.
or
It was kind
not
of
for
that.
me. Like when I brought it up, it was more of like just the way that we play games socially.
Yeah.
How that's changed over the years. So,
Bring it on.
The social gaming experience. So you want me to start in one phase or do a quick through the years for me and then compare and contrast with your guys' experience?
Yeah. I feel you.
Okay. So what I was thinking was just interesting
so-
because
It is all about the Benjamins.
I mean I've always been wanted to play games with other people whenever possible. And you started off, it was an arcade experience where that silent rivalry with people you don't know, jockeying for elbow space, fighting games. Even before that, like not Yar Kung Fu was single player, but like Karate Champ.
The thing that you had to do is you had to slap
half
down the
point.
quarter
Put the quarter up
as soon as the guy was flailing, as if to say, "Yeah, you're done."
Yeah.
I
and
got
then move
next.
in there, or or they wait for you. There's that other thing too, where like they're hoping that you come in, like they're losing, and they're like, "Put your quarter in," but then you just like wait, and then they like die, and then they got to put another quarter in if they want to play you. Like that was an asshole maneuver.
Yeah.
But
There's definitely some jungle law there.
But so I mean, we had that sort of thing. But then also, I mean, when I was really young, of course, we're playing straight multiplayer games. Sports. It was mainly like on Nintendo. It was and Atari. Well, Atari combat and sports and stuff like that. But I just always remember like also playing single player games, but taking turns with people. And I didn't have any siblings I lived with, but even with friends, and all the way up through like Super Metroid, Metal Gear Solid when that came out, Resident Evil when it first came out, and you take turns and you all kind of like watch one another, and kind of hope that the other person dies so you can get your turn on there. But at the same time, you're like, or you just might be fatigued with this part and you don't want to do it, but you still want to like feel like you contributed to getting through it. So,
did you never root for your friends?
Oh, I would. So then we'd help, but then you'd get mad too if like there'd always be that one friend, and he'd want to like try the dumbest solutions to everything. And it was like the dude played Castlevania 2 for Nintendo, and that game actually is put together that way, but it like ruined him for life. So, it's clear to everyone else in the room that all you need to do is you've got like whatever the star-shaped key, and you need to put it in the star-shaped locked door or whatever. But he wants to go back and look in the sewer and see if he needs to get some kind of acid to cover it with and pass it through a few subsequent phases. But so there's always that dude. Where am I going with this? And then and then like I don't know. And then for me, then it just seemed like the big, of course, the big Street Fighter came to home units and stuff, and then that brought the competitive stuff back. And then that was around the same time that Doom was in the dorm rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everyone's gathering around for that on LAN. And then that was really cool. But then it was perfect timing for me because like I always got the most enjoyment at least with someone else there to play. And then that's when like online started taking off. So it was great, and I got to do all that. And
Yeah.
I was
that
ready
it?
to burp, dude. And then it's just like now it's like it just seems like the greatest place for it to be going is that you have more and more co-op games and just like increased emphasis on co-op. And I mean, I'm really glad when it's there, like in Gears of War, which is for being such a big prominent release and co-op having a huge part in that. EA's Army of Two, which is coming out. Yeah, but those are both console, but Mercenaries coming for PC as well.
But doesn't it piss you off that like you see so many console games, even like online console games that have co-op, and yet like the co-op on PC games is few and far between in comparison?
But of course, that's the whole appeal of MMOs, right? I mean, you don't really play them, Sean, but that is the appeal because we're killing these monsters in a group with other people. But the only problem, for the most part,
the only thing I'm saying is like MMOs are a distinct kind of like gameplay experience.
Yeah.
I mean, like if I want to get into a shooter with somebody or like a single player campaign of whatever shooter comes up next, be able to do that with somebody.
Yeah, you're right. It would be great if there was more of that on the PC, and I don't get it either. Why?
I don't know if there's one thing I haven't really gotten into on consoles yet is co-op online. I will still do co-op like same room with the other person, which is why I was kind of disappointing when we were talking about Crackdown a couple of weeks ago, and someone said like, "Yeah, it's co-op, but not split screen co-op."
That was so great for me is that it had the co-op.
Yeah, but I still want the like.
Doesn't split screen co-op drive you nuts though?
Not really. I mean, it doesn't. Like I mean, going back to GoldenEye, yeah. Well, like back in the college days, like we just used to sit around the TV and play GoldenEye for days.
I know. I used to play GoldenEye, and I'd be so tempted to cheat all the time because like there'd be like these little windows. I'm like, okay, I'm like checking out the top right.
Oh, that was
corner.
part of the game.
I know, but it's like just
tempted to cheat means you did cheat.
Yeah, I did cheat.
That was very much part of it, like knowing where the other people were. It made it a very different game. But yeah, I co-op great, but split screen co-op don't go away.
I'm like the opposite.
Really?
Because it's like, in fact, I think, when my friends do come over, what happens is we won't play video games together because we'd have more fun playing the games we want to play at home together, online.
I still get a lot of value out of the everyone's in the same room scenario.
It depends. The games change. We'll end up playing Soul Calibur,
right,
or Virtua Fighter or something.
Right.
Well,
it's
like my favorite multiplayer experiences ever are the ones I had at CGW with a group of people all in the same room playing a shooter. The same LAN game. It was mostly Half-Life 1 and different maps, Team Fortress. I think we would have had we would have had a lot of fun if we were all at our separate homes playing these maps. But the fact that we were all in the same room yelling at each other and giving each other shit was at least half of what made it
I
so
totally
great.
agree with that.
I say we bring that back. We need to like designate like blow the shit out of each other. Period.
But it's interesting. I mean, we can have that experience because we all work together in a magazine, right? About games,
right? Everyone else has to go to a LAN party,
right? And those are more popular in other countries to have that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's interesting that it hasn't translated here as well because you would think that would be so much fun.
I think they do. I mean, we still do have. I mean, we have a few cyber cafes. Depending on where you go, places where people go.
It's a niche.
But it's the same reason why arcades aren't as big here as they are in some other parts of the world. Because I mean, everyone's got a good computer at home, or everyone's got a console, or a nice home theater TV they want to sit in front of.
We're all just at our own homes now.
I would totally like the social part of it, but it's just like where, when, and where. I mean, I don't want to go. To be honest, I don't want to go play Counter-Strike 1.6 over at the cyber cafe.
You're right.
No, I don't.
Well, I don't either.
Right.
So even though we all like it, none of us would
I
actually.
wouldn't
like
want to
that
go
it's
to a
there, but-
cyber cafe.
Yeah.
I want to play with people I know, like in my house.
Yeah.
'Cause I think those, like you said, those are my greatest memories.
Mhm.
Playing multiplayer games was like the college days when we lived with 7 other people
Mm-hmm.
and would set up elaborate LAN systems just to play freaking Rise of the Triad or whatever.
Right.
Rise of the Triad. I remember that one. That was a fun LAN game.
I wish there
The
more.
Wii is bringing it back, though.
Yep.
That's
It
the
is.
whole basis of
You're
the
right.
Yeah.
The Wii is the
That's
4
right.
people in the same room.
I thought you were going to say Rise of the Triad's coming to. League
That
of
would
Legends for a
be,
second.
wow.
Yeah.
Rise of the Triad for the Wii.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I have no idea. I just
No,
thought.
not
Never
either.
mind.
I'm all for the co-op online though. I hope more companies do it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
Crackdown. I wouldn't have touched it had it not been for that option in that game.
Really?
I mean, that's what attracted me to it. I was like to play with game. I mean, for the very same reasons we would play back then together. It's like a cutscene comes on and we're both making fun of it, or like just the social experience of like commenting the whole time. The peanut gallery,
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, dumb character lines, and we're talking, making fun of those and repeating those, or like in Crackdown, you go from the equivalent of Mexico land to Russia land to China land, and just making fun of like how like stereotypical and just the whole thing is. And I mean, it's so much more fun that way. And I've been sitting there on my own in the living room, like, hey, you can go use the computer, hon. I'm just gonna be out here, and then in the living room, all you hear is like, hey, don't do that in my country, man. I mean, it's like whatever, I mean, that's Crackdown. The moment you start it, it's like just in your face stereotypes.
Yeah. All right.
Any of you? Well, any more?
Did you
Ryan,
ever have the
I'll be chilling.
phase where, this is also back in college, where like Super Nintendo era, maybe, I was playing Final Fantasy 3, which is Final Fantasy 6 in Japan, whatever. I would be playing it, and everyone, like maybe like 8 people would want me to play it. They would like say, "Hey,
Mhm.
can you play Final Fantasy 3?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to play Final Fantasy 3, but all right." And then there would be like a bunch of people watching this freaking game.
Just watching you play.
Yeah, and they would do that with
Yeah, they'd
like
want you to
Graphic
play just
Adventures.
so you
I think
could
like
see.
the Dig, we had a big audience that like I couldn't
Wow.
play unless certain people were there to watch.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
very strange.
Were they all stoned?
Half of them.
Yeah, that's what I
Did
missed.
that
with the
ever
dorms.
happen?
There was, yeah, totally. There was
Yeah.
that, like Super Metroid was that way. There's a bunch of people that like didn't want to play, but they all wanted to watch.
That hasn't happened since then.
Hmm.
Very distinct year maybe where that was like the case.
I'm just trying to think. When
Then we
I,
got a
I think that
multitask
was
and played a
pretty-
lot of Bomberman.
I remember when I was in college, like it was all about NHL. We used to have like huge tournaments.
Yeah, we
like
never
just
liked those.
never got into those.
Nah.
Dude, you
That's
lived
big.
like near Buffalo.
Sega Genesis.
It's like
or,
it's all about the snow and ice.
Yeah, that's why I'm not in Buffalo anymore.
The Sabres, man, come on.
It was all Missile Command and pinball for me and my generation.
down at the old
Back in the
arcade.
30s.
Down
Yep.
at the old pizzeria.
Yep. Down
Bowling
at
alley?
Silver Ball Arcade in Berkeley.
Ah,
I was a
Uh-huh.
wee one getting my fingers pinched in that trackball playing that. You ever do that?
Oh yeah.
Spin too
Yeah.
hard.
Oh,
Whatever.
I've heard,
my
yeah.
skin gets
It's
caught.
on,
it hurts.
on
Trackball.
Missile Command, that shit hurts. Yeah.
that leaves like a scar. I think I still have one.
And
I
then
used
there
to-
was Tempest, the thing you had to spin in Tempest.
yeah.
You'd go. My hand used to get sore from that
I used
thing.
to.
Yeah, that's why I got sore.
I used to play the
Because
shit out
of
of that
that
at the
thing.
local
'Cause of- yeah, 'cause
pizzeria,
of
and like
Tempest.
I used to play the shit out of Tempest at the local pizzeria to have like that encrusted layer of, like pizza grease
Yep.
and just sludge just around the dial, and I'm like,
Mhm. Tempest is one of those games that's never converted well to any of the other. Every time one of these compilation packs come out for whatever console machine, they got Tempest on there. I'm not going to play Tempest with a gamepad. Sorry, I need the twiddly knob thingy.
Need a
Sure.
paddle.
Remember
Yeah.
what was the one for the Atari Jaguar? That version?
Tempest 2000.
Tempest 2000.
Tempest 2000.
2K.
Yep.
That was a great game, Tempest.
Oh yeah.
It was.
We're
It's very
turning into
surreal.
retro
That was
nuts.
gaming in.
What else was great?
You better watch.
That was perfect. That was just like colored lines, like
Yeah.
spinning around.
This is
Kinda
all.
scary.
all
None of
what
your
is this?
fancy
This is-
3D graphics.
You should have done it all week. We've been getting emails internally for. They want us to go and tape some video segments for like what is it? A show about Game Tap?
Oh
Remember that? And I was
Yeah,
making
we
fun of it.
said
I was
about
like,
anyhow.
I don't want to do that because that's the equivalent of us being like in the Time Life music compilation commercial where they get like
Who could forget this band?
and then they
And
play
then
a little
Seals
clip,
and Crofts.
reunited and it feels. And then they show some couple walking down the beach. Oh, I remember when we played this.
real.
Like, yeah, so they basically want to turn us
K-Tel
into
collections.
those people for video games.
Aren't we doing that right now?
And we're already,
anyway?
yeah, that's my point is
Yeah,
like,
we are.
We're already
Yeah.
doing it. We just don't have the video.
Bomberman, Tempest, Final Fantasy 3.
They're all here. I mean, you can
Gosh.
get these games, but I mean, maybe this is for you, Jeff, in your newly found Pitchman thing. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time where you get all these games together in one place.
Uh-huh.
I mean, before
It's
you
true.
used to track these down individually on eBay, and fill your living
You're
room
right.
up with old game hardware systems. But now you're playing them all
You're right.
all together.
You're right. We should advertise for this. Why go anywhere else? Game Tap.
Okay.
They got Sam and Max too.
They do?
Yep.
Wow.
Actually, I hate to say it, but there is one thing I'm appreciating because I could not get i76 to run, in Windows lately,
A classic.
and it runs there.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, I hate to plug 'em.
Interesting.
Classic game, that I-76. Okay.
What else we got?
And now we'll.
We got energy low here today.
Got about
GFW podcast. 5 minutes?
Can't make
Give or
it in
take.
5 minutes.
We can't do another
we can't
5 whole minutes.
we got a couple
What
of news
the
items.
hell?
You want to talk about
We
that
do. We have a
Vanguard
couple
thing?
news. Yeah, we can talk about the Vanguard thing very quickly. I kind of hate to bash Vanguard at this point in time.
Vanguard sucks.
A little bit like kicking the retarded kid. Sorry, not retarded.
What do you mean retarded?
Intellectually
Differently abled.
slow learner.
/ woot. Thank you.
Only because we gave it kind of a harsh review, which is a little sad. I was rooting for this game. You know, we had Jeff Butler here in the studio quite a while ago, and we had a great conversation with him about the game. And alas, our review, not so good. I will say, however, MMOs, they can always, this is the first time. This game will evolve. We will keep looking at it. It could get better. That said, they just announced a big change that's not implemented yet, correct? It's just in a test.
They're
It's
going
in
to
a
test
test
it,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that they're even testing it is telling. Go ahead, Jeff.
Right. As posted on Vanguard's website, the current changes are: you will no longer leave a corpse behind when you die. Instead, you will drop an essence. You will no longer leave items soulbound and not on your essence. Essences will return a large amount of experience upon retrieval. So, and the amount of experience lost when you die has been decreased. And that is all couched in the explanation that these changes are part of our ongoing plan to improve your experience while playing Vanguard. So, the point is,
No more corpse runs.
no more corpse runs. And the symbolically big thing about that is, of course, is that corpse runs were one of the big, I wouldn't say